This is coming out of Warsaw, North Carolina, and we have Anthony Wall, a 22-year-old, who decided to take his 16-year-old sister to prom. Afterward, they went to Waffle House to eat and unwind after the night. And at some point, they got into an argument with either patrons that eventually turned into an argument with the staff. And as you do, if an African-American person is causing you any inconvenience whatsoever, the cops have got to come pronto. And so they called the police. And the police did what in so many of these cases the police do, which you'll see in this video.
You're on family on the fucking window.
He's not supposed to be doing that.
Out for me.
I'm glad I'm recording this. He's not supposed to be doing that. He's not supposed to be doing that.
Get your hands off me. Get your hands off me. Get your supervisor out here and get your hands off. Get your supervisor out here and get your hands off me.
He's not supposed to be putting his hands on me.
So that's unfortunate, mostly because it reminds us once again of the relationship between a lot of police departments around the country and the African-American community. That guy, Frank Moss, by the way, if we could bring up this picture. Thankfully, I saw this because of Sean King. He tweeted out both the video and also his photo. So Frank Moss is the guy on the right. That's a big dude. It's a big dude who is obviously quite noticeable, and apparently the locals in that area have noticed him because many of them reached out to Sean King saying that they know this guy and he has a reputation for doing exactly what he did in that video, terrorizing and brutalizing people for years. He's a gigantic guy that when this 22-year-old kid, fresh off his prom, raised his voice, decided he needed to slam him down onto the cement. So Anthony Wall said that he has arm injuries and back injuries. And you saw at the end there, by the way, how did he choose to restrain him? By putting his head on the curb with the rest of his body below, which is such a threatening position to put a person in with a lot of historical context. It's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, you know what's also threatening? Putting your hands around someone's neck and squeezing as hard as that cop did. He could have easily died from not being able to breathe, which, by the way, he mentioned when talking to the press, that is not police protocol.
Well, that's what they always say.
Right. And
at a certain point, though, does it matter what's in your handbook? I mean, at a certain point, can we look at what the people who work for you are doing and say that it might not be your standard operating procedure, but it's your standard operating procedure?
Yeah, I think that time and time again, we've seen too many cases where police have used excessive force. They've done things that they're not supposed to do, and grand juries refuse to indict them. Police departments refuse to punish them. They'll claim that they're doing some sort of internal investigation, which is complete garbage, and it will amount to nothing in the end. And so what I always go back to is the need for empathy among Americans as a whole, because oftentimes, since there is a racial component to this, I think that, we become as tribal as we are, and white people think this isn't a problem for us, so who cares, right? But have a little bit of empathy and put yourself in the position of someone who's dealing with that type of brutality, or put yourself in the position of someone who literally lost a family member because a cop shot and killed an unarmed black person in their family. Like, put yourself in those shoes and demand more from the people that we pay to protect and serve us. Because the reality is, even though it disproportionately impacts black people, it impacts all of us. If we embolden cops to do what they're doing, they're gonna get away with this. Exactly. And we've seen too many cases of this. We need to really stand up and do something about it.
Yeah, I realize that there's a bit of an issue with asking for people who might have less empathy than others to use empathy, but how would you feel if the population you come from was routinely having the police called on you for the most normal human behavior imaginable? And imagine if you saw that throughout your life and you knew that family members and friends had been brutalized in this way for just routine arguments. Getting into an argument with a waiter at Waffle House should not lead to your life being at risk.